We are live to YouTube.
Testing 1, 2.
All right, we are live. Welcome, bienvenue en ligne. Before we begin our meeting officially, I want to address the flurry of news that has come out over the last week concerning Algoma Steel. At the beginning of the week, the community was left reeling from news that there would be more than 1,000 layoffs at the steel plant. By the end of the week, a rough outline of a plan to start new production lines and improve existing production lines for the roughly would result in roughly 500 of those 1,000 jobs being saved, which is undoubtedly a welcome commitment from our anxious city. What is certain, however, is that these are extremely uncertain times. We are in a very difficult economic situation. Yes, some of the layoffs were planned to happen in 2027, but the collapse of the Canadian steel market resulting from 50% tariffs on our community's main export means that what was supposed to be a 24-month transition to a reduced workforce turned out to be a 6-month transition to a reduced workforce. But the city is doing everything it can and within its authority to help, from advocating to other levels of government for urgent support to pursuing opportunities to diversify and strengthen our local economy. And even as we will do tonight, finding responsible ways to limit municipal spending. Since the outset of this term, this council has committed to projects like the Port of Algoma that can create a healthy additional industry in town to help with stability and growth for our economy. Initiatives like the port and continuing to push for the relocation of OLG jobs to our community have always been priorities. But last week's developments mean they have taken on renewed urgency. I've already ensured that both the provincial and federal governments understand their importance, particularly at this moment. Myself and Mr. Ver and other staff have discussed these priorities last week with the Premier, the Federal Minister of Industry, and we have a request out through our MP to meet with the Prime Minister. Staff have been tasked with a number of different efforts by this council to advance economic diversification, from pursuing the defense industry opportunities to a national wildfire center. Just a few weeks ago, council appointed Councillor Gardy on a reemployment committee to work with industry inside the city and Algoma District to connect laid-off employees with nearby opportunities. I've also been working closely with Tenaris and other local businesses and other expansion opportunities or attraction opportunities that may exist in the Soo. In January, there is a handful of us that will be going to a provincial municipal conference in Toronto, where we will continue to advocate for things like the port, the OLG, and other important economic diversification projects. I know that this council and our staff will not rest until we have a plan for each and every one of those 1,000 jobs to be saved or retrained in the Soo or nearby. We do have our work cut out for us, but we will work incredibly diligently to ensure results as quickly as possible. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
I have a motion by Councillors Zagordo and Hollingsworth, resolved that the agenda for December 8, 2025 budget meeting as presented be approved.
All in favor? Councillor Spina can second that, as Councillor Hollingsworth is not here yet.
I have not received any declarations of pecuniary interest.
Any council? Seeing none.
I have a motion by Councillors Caputo and Spina, resolved that the report of the Manager of Finance dated December 8, 2025 concerning Ontario Regulation 28409 be approved for the budget year 2026.
All in favor?
And I have a motion by Councillors Zagordo and Spina, resolved that the report of the Manager of Communications dated December 8, 2025 regarding Budget 2026 community engagement be received as information.
Any questions on this, council? Seeing none, we can have a vote on them. Is that a question? Go ahead, Councillor Dufour.
I was just wondering if the report that was, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor, to CAO Ver, the report with the top 10 community concerns coming out of the budget feedback and their answers, will that be posted following budget deliberations or shared more widely with the city?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour, yes, that's something we will be posting and making available to the community.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions, we can vote to receive that as information. All in favor? That carries.
And there is correspondence from the Sioux Trails Advocacy Committee on the agenda. The next agenda item 6, 2026 proposed budget. It's a motion by Councilors Zagordo and Spina resolved that City Council now proceed into Committee of the Whole to consider the following matter referred to it for consideration, 2026 budget deliberations.
Okay, council, under 6.1.1 are 12 motions that were sent in prior to the agenda being published last week. And then 6.1.2 are 13 motions sent in after that, some of which have seconders, some of which don't. So we'll have to go through those. What I wanted to say about the motions under 6.1.1 is that I had a hand in drafting the majority of them and working with various councillors individually to look at this as kind of from a global perspective. The motions that are in 6.1.1 would bring our municipal levy down to 0%. So that we are at a preliminary levy, Mr. Facey, of 1.96, I believe.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. The city portion is 1.96% with the external levies and local boards at 3.82%.
Okay. And so the 1.96% that we are deliberating over tonight, capital and operational budget, would be 0% if motions 1 through 12 in 6.1.1 are passed. So Madam Clerk, I guess, do we start with the first one?
Did you call the vote to move into Committee of the Whole?
Oh, no, I didn't. So let's do that. All in favor? That carries. All right, what I said before that applies to this.
And we have a motion by Councilors Caputo and Spina resolved that the report of the CAO concerning 2026 budget additional information be received as information.
Any questions to the CAO on his report? Seeing none, are we doing just a straw vote on that
Yeah.
to receive it as information? That looks like it carries. Thank you.
So that will bring us to agenda item 6.1.1. The first is a motion by Councillor Scott and Shoemaker and Mayor Shoemaker, be it resolved that the Public Works winter control budget be increased by $800,000 in 2026 at a savings from the proposed budget of $135,300.
Are there questions about this? Councillor Vezoalen?
Through you, Mayor, to Ms. Hamilton Beach. Ms. Hamilton Beach, based on the budget allocations and estimates that you gave for the 2026 winter control budget, would that reduction be feasible in your opinion?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Vezoalen. I think we reported all the facts back in October. I think I will use the word comfortable, that this motion would certainly take us far closer to where we would be sitting at the 5-year average. So it is definitely a very instrumental improvement in getting us to that target.
Okay, thank you.
Just wanted to clarify one thing. Not a reduction, still an $800,000
Yeah,
increase.
I just want to make sure that
Not the
that's-
full increase that's
Yeah.
being requested. Anyone else on that? Okay, seeing none, we can straw vote that one,
Just opening. So
or we're going to vote electronically as well. Okay, so that, can we have a hand vote as well? Okay, and any opposed? No, so that carries. The second motion, Madam Clerk?
second is moved by Mayor Shoemaker, seconded by Councillor Spina, be it resolved that the budgeted increase of $550,000 for Public Works Fleet Financing Strategy be spread over 2 years at a savings in 2026 of $275,000.
Council, any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, we could have a vote on that matter. All in favor? That carries.
And a motion by Councillor or Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Vezo-Allen, be it resolved that operational funding of $95,913 be removed from the Downtown Ambassador Program, but that the operations be continued in 2026 with one-time funding allocated to the City of Sault Ste. Marie from the District Social Services Administration Board.
Any questions on that? Councillor Vezo-Allen, comment?
Just a comment, the District Social Services Administrative Board was able to do this because we've received a funding allocation that we were not aware of at budget time. So I want to thank Mike Nato and the team for allocating funds to the Downtown Ambassador Program that we certainly need and appreciate in our community.
Absolutely. Just further to that, so after the layoffs were announced in the community, Mr. Ver reached out to all the outside agencies seeking for them to reassess their budgetary needs. The DSAB came back with a grant that they were able to provide to the city. Police came back with a $50,000 reduction in their budget. And so both of those unexpected amounts help a lot tonight. And this is one example of that. So much appreciated. Any other questions on that? Seeing none, we can, or I had one. I don't know if it was in your report or in one of the correspondences that I've seen. The number was 98,913 for Downtown Ambassadors. And then the number that I got from finance was 95,913. So I just wanted to verify what the actual amount is for Downtown Ambassadors.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, it's $95,913. That's the net levy impact of that service.
Thank you. So it is as in the motion. All in favor? That carries.
And a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Bruni, be it resolved that the inflationary increases to capital accounts be set at $450,000 in 2026 at a savings of $62,353.
Any questions on this, council? Still an increase, just not quite as big of an increase as what's being requested in the preliminary budget. Okay, seeing none, we can have a vote on that. All in favor? That carries.
And a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Bruni, be it resolved that the use of the tax stabilization reserve approved in the 2024 budget that phased in policing cost increases over 3 years be spread over 4 years for a savings in the 2026 budget of $66,667.
Any questions on this, council? This will be a reduction in the next 3 years of 66,667. Okay, seeing none, we can have a vote on that matter. All in favor? That carries.
We have a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Caputo. Be it resolved that $50,000 be added to the downtown operational budget.
Council, any questions on this? Seeing none, we can have a vote on that matter. All in favor? That carries. Any opposed? Okay, that carries. One.
Councillor Hollingsworth, I have you in the negative. And I have a motion, Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Zagordo, be it resolved that council directs staff to add $400,000 to the revenue line item for casino revenue sharing based on average increase over the last 2 years.
Perhaps I'll just ask Ms. Shell to explain this one a little bit. This wasn't just a random number picked out of the sky.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The casino revenue is set at a budget of 1.4. It has been for several years, especially after COVID and as it started growing. But we noticed a trend in 2024 that the actuals were increasing. In 2024, it was around 1.7 million, and we're forecasting potentially for 2025 to be about 1.9. With everything going on in the community, we didn't feel comfortable going extremely high, so we kind of met in the middle. This puts the budget at about 1.8.
Councillor Hollingsworth?
Question, just to clarify, this, through you, Mayor, to Ms. Shell. This is the funds that we receive from our local casino, correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, yes, you are correct.
Okay. I like your forecasts, and I like how you took in consideration the economic climate presently in our community, and unfortunately will probably continue for 2026. So I appreciate that you took that into account. Thank you.
So this would be a positive variance to the revenue, which means 400,000 of additional revenue to the budget, which is a reduction in the tax levy, of course. Other questions? All in favor? That carries.
I have a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Dufour. Be it resolved that the landfill business and implementation annual reserve allocation be reduced at an annual savings of $1,825,000.
Questions on this, Council? Councillor Hollingsworth?
Through you, Mayor, to Ms. Susan Hamilton Beach. You have been working on this for some time, and I'm on the impression that obviously that your opinion was inputted into this decision-making. Is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth. I did not have anything to do with the resolution, but there have been discussions from that point on.
Okay, and you're obviously comfortable knowing that our landfill over the next couple of years, we've been nervous that it may be at its close to capacity, but you're okay, that will be financially okay?
I don't, just to clarify, Councillor Hollingsworth, I don't think staff would go as far as to recommend this. This is not a recommendation of theirs. It's something that I think as council and myself and Councillor Dufour discussed, and while we understand that staff can't recommend it and wouldn't recommend it, that it's something that we as council think is important to try and control the costs this year. So I don't want Hamilton Beach to get,
That's fair. It's just, I know that over the last number of council terms, we've always been very cautious about our landfill. So I just want to raise that flag that this is something that we have always been babying, knowing that the future could be challenging when we need to move forward on this. That's all. I just don't want to make sure our reserves are not depleted. They won't be, but it's just a red flag.
yeah, I appreciate that. I suspect that's the same concern that staff would have as well.
That's
Can I
fair.
ask a follow-up question to that?
Please.
Ms. Shell, how much is in this reserve and how much will still go into it after, if this motion is approved?
To you, Mr. Mayor, to you, Mr. Mayor. The reserve has an uncommitted balance of slightly over $5 million. And with this motion, it decreases the transfer into the reserve in 2026 by about half. Yeah.
So there'll still be roughly,
There's still money going in. It does push the costs out further.
Right.
So we will have to reevaluate.
any other questions on this, council? Councillor Kinnick?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Shell, is this just a one-time savings, or is this going to be every year going forward, we are going to be saving this money?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Kinnick. Council would have to make that decision, but the way I read this, it's one time for this year, and we will be revisiting our B&I plan going forward.
Thank you very much.
Seeing no other questions on that, we can have a vote on the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries 10-1.
I have a motion by Councillors Gardy and Shoemaker. Be it resolved that the Sault Ste. Marie Public Library be granted $75,000 as an operational increase.
Any questions on this, council? Councillor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Am I able to ask questions of Mr. McDonald?
If he's prepared to answer them, sure.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. Sorry to put you on the spot. This $75,000 amount, is that something that you're feeling confident about, or?
It is about $30,000 short of what we were hoping for. So we would have to reevaluate our budget and look at possible savings in other areas and a possible reduction in some services.
So getting the full amount, would that have given you security from the time you open till the time you close every single day?
The full amount would give us, so that was what we had in our budget presentation. We needed that for our full operations at the James L. McIntyre Centennial Library. With the $75,000, I have to discuss it with the board, but my recommendation will be to continue with security full-time hours and making the reductions in other operational lines.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else, council? Questions on this? Councillor Dufour.
Yeah, just a clarifying question through you, Mr. Mayor. This operational increase will be built into the preliminary levy for every year going forward. It's not a one-time increase.
Michelle?
Thanks.
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Dufour, my reading of the motion is that this is for operational increases and it would be ongoing for the library to use as they see fit, whether it be for security or other requirements going forward.
And just further clarifying question on that, Ms. Shell. The operational increase of, I think it was around 45 or 49,000 last year, was not built in. We had this question at the last council meeting, but wasn't built into the preliminary budget of the library, as I understand.
To you, Mr. Mayor, after we followed up, subsequent to the presentation by the library, it was determined that they thought it was one time and it was removed from their budget as presented to the city.
Okay. So this covers all of what we gave them last year, plus an additional 25 or 30 grand. Correct?
To you, Mr. Mayor, correct.
Okay. Other questions, council? Seeing none, we can have a vote on that. All in favor? That carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Gardy. Be it resolved that the street lighting increase for PUC be set at $145,000 in the 2026 budget at a savings of $50,000.
Council, this is as a result of a discussion Mr. Vare and I had with Mr. Brewer at the PUC. Their preliminary street lighting maintenance line item for 2026 was $195,000, but they have $50,000 left over from this year's budget that is unspent. So they are applying that to help relieve some of the cost pressures we are facing as a municipality. So they will need this 50 added to their line item in the future, but they said for this year they can make do without. Any questions on that? Seeing none, we can have a vote on that. All in favor? That carries.
And a motion by Councillors Dufour and Caputo, be it resolved that staff be directed to add 2 Public Works staff dedicated to downtown maintenance and beautification in 2026 without a budgetary impact in 2026 by drawing from existing resources.
Councillor Dufour, go ahead. Did you have anything to comment, ask, question?
Just as a comment, Mr. Mayor, from my conversations that I've had with a lot of downtown business owners, cleanliness and beautification is a real priority. Having a downtown that looks good is also a downtown that feels safe. And so with some of the changes coming to the governance model downtown in 2026, myself, Councillor Caputo, and others thought it really important that we be sure to resource Public Works to the level of service that we're looking for downtown and to the quality and the cleanliness that we hope to see down there. So I think that this is along with some of the preliminary changes that were suggested by staff. I think this will be setting us up for some real success downtown this year. Thank you.
Councillor Caputo, anything to add to that?
Sure, thank you. When this council made the decision to dissolve the BIA, I think we all took it very seriously that, you know, as with the city taking over the downtown, we want to see service levels not just remain where they are, but be increased. As Councillor Dufour said, safety is really important and cleanliness is very important. And I think it's going to make a big mark in the community to have a City of Sault Ste. Marie truck down there every single day, a crew down there taking care of the downtown. And, you know, I'm very confident in the work that our Public Works team does. And so having somebody dedicated and responsible to that, I think we're going to see great strides in the downtown. And I would appreciate everyone's support. Thanks.
Ready?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Hamilton Beach, I guess. I'm just, in terms of the 2 people, so this is going to be, as Councillor Caputo just mentioned, this will be a crew of 2 people full-time downtown at the same time, or how will it kind of work itself out?
You, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gardy. Yes, we would see majority of time you would have 2 individuals. There's vacation, sickness, et cetera. But that is certainly the idea that we would like to see come to fruition.
Councillor Hollingsworth?
Through you, Mayor, to Miss Susan Hamilton Beach. I think it's a good idea. Just bring us up to speed, though. How will that, you're not worried it's going to impact any other areas of our community with regards to staffing?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, I may begin this and then CAO Ver may add, but we have been running with vacancies, unfortunately, more than what we had hoped. We see this as an opportunity to actually dedicate to this area, have the concept of it being a park and it's meticulous and kept up in that nature. So those 2 individuals, which are ultimately 2 vacancies at this point in time, can be put to that area.
Okay. The comments we always get is the flower boxes are beautiful and they're always sprucing them up. So I know that there's staff already focused on that area.
And those dedicated staff would not change at all either at this point.
Okay. One last question. I can't remember, I should know, but in your budget for 2026, do you have any allocation for hiring new staff members at all?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Ver may want to respond at this point. I certainly can. There is no additional staff, but maybe provide some details.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, Ms. Hamilton Beach is correct. We have no new complement as part of this hiring year. We've typically run a deficit of staff in Public Works. And so we had looked at the potential at decreasing the complement, but if council wants to allocate these to the downtown, I think that's a good way to utilize those resources and also enable us to, I think in the coming year, be able to attract and fill up our complement, knowing the labor force challenges that we'll have in the community.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gardy, is it just a clarifying question?
Yeah, just one question, just for the community. So as it relates to these 2 individuals, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Ms. Hamilton Beach or whomever else could answer the question. Could you just give the community and myself an idea of the sort of geographic area of downtown that they would be responsible for? Could you provide that? Like, what are we talking? We're talking just Queen Street or what are we talking?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gardney, we would certainly be open to whatever council defines as the downtown. As the DTA, it is East Street to Dennis, I believe. If that were to be expanded, obviously with two individuals, it can't get expanded too large, but we would look to satisfy council in that.
Councillor Bruni?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess I'm a bit confused here. If you're going to, I guess I would direct the question to Mr. Bear, through you, Mr. Mayor. If you're going to be taking two positions and putting them down to the downtown area, where are these two positions coming from? If your complement is low and there's vacation and sick time, I'm just confused, like, where are you taking these two positions and moving them down to the downtown area? Not that I'm against it. I'm just confused. Where are these two positions coming from?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni. So the two complements that we were talking about would shift from one of our unions to the Parks QP3 union, that they would focus on the downtown area. And the thought is, given that we have run a deficit of employees, we're anticipating we're going to be able to ramp back up to full employment, knowing that there's going to be more of a labor force available in the market. So essentially, we would be able to come up to full employment, and then we would take two of those resources and apply them to the downtown area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council, other questions? Okay, we can have a vote on that. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries.
We have a motion by Mayor Shoemaker and Councillor Hollingsworth. Be it resolved that the security foot patrols be maintained in 2026, utilizing the balance of the special council community.
Before council asks, the balance of the special council community fund is $94,382. Oh, I'm being told it's higher than that. What a surprise. There we go. How much is it, Ms. Shell?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'll pass that over to Mr. Facey. He has the current balance.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the balance is $102,382.
This would be for maintenance of security patrols, but not as an addition to the budget, paid for one time through that $102,000 reserve. Councillor Caputo?
I think you can probably answer this. This is for the downtown security patrols?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Spina?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Not sure if it will go to you or perhaps CEO Ver. Would there be potential to take these funds and redirect them towards public works so that there could be additional individuals from public works downtown instead of security personnel?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, certainly if that's council's wish, those funds are one-time funds and they could be directed where council would like them to be directed. We had a budget request of $150,000 for the downtown security patrols. So the 102,382 would go towards that amount. And we would probably look to shift the hours of the downtown patrol in that we would have less patrols during the wintertime and look to have kind of our full complement of patrols in the summer months. Was the way staff would approach it.
And then next year?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, staff would come with another request at that time for budget to look for support for the downtown security patrols. Obviously, we'll monitor each year. We do get monthly reports from the security patrols now. We do have a number of incidents that the security patrols addressed during the year. So we continue to monitor that. If there's a need, we don't need the patrols anymore, obviously we wouldn't be making the request.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, Council? Councillor Kinnick?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to CEO Bear, I believe. So last year, when we were discussing this at budget, we were talking about the downtown police department and they were going to have a foot patrol. So could we explain why we needed a foot downtown police presence and a security company downtown?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick. So in working with the police and determining their patrol schedule, they are not on the street walking, Monday to Friday every day. In addition, their hours are 8:30 to 4:30 for the downtown patrol at this point. So the patrols do have evening time patrols and would ensure that we've got security presence walking the downtown beat every day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Seeing no other questions, we can vote on that. All in favor? Any opposed? That carries. I think that is the balance of 6.1.1. Mr. Facey? No?
Mr. Gardy, were you or Councillor Kinnick and Councillor Spina? Okay. You were in favor, yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Mr. Facey, just checking the math, are we at a 0% municipal increase?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. 3.87% total, 0.00 for the municipal side, and 3.87% for the levies and local boards.
Okay. Thank you.
Brings us to agenda item 6.1.2. So these are proposed amendments made after the agenda was published that appeared on addendum by Councillors Gardy and Scott. Resolved that the City of Sault Ste. Marie's taxpayers no longer fund the Pee Wee Arena annually for a savings in 2026 of $25,503.
Councillor Gardy?
This is the second time I brought this forward. I think I might have done it a couple of years ago, and then Mr. Bear's predecessor, Mr. CEO White, outlined the reasons why we provided some funds annually to the Pee Wee Arena. My recollection of it was that we they helped us out 60 years ago when the Pee Wee was established because we needed extra ice, and as a part of it, this is something we do for them. I think several decades in the making is enough time for us, the city taxpayers, to be giving the Pee Wee Arena, who I think is probably in a pretty healthy financial position. Mr. White alluded to at the time that the $25,000 or so, well, this year's $25,000 and money in the past went towards paying their property taxes. I don't think our taxpayers should be subsidizing the Pee Wee Arena any longer. That being said, Mr. Mayor, you and I did have a conversation a little earlier today. This was sort of sprung on everybody last minute. It wasn't my intention. It was just something that I didn't remember I wanted to bring forward till after the original submission deadline. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor, if you want to provide a little bit of an explanation that you provided to me, and I'm cool doing that and pulling this, but I'll let you explain it because I'll screw it up. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Gardy. Well, I guess I'll say that first, I should start by saying I don't support this motion. I think that our arenas that are municipally run, let me just see here, run various deficits. And Mr. Lamming, do you have that number? Go ahead.
You, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Gardy, our deficits of our arenas, I'll use the full year of 2024. So the GFL Memorial Gardens runs a deficit of 1.1 million, and the NCC and the John Rhodes arenas both run a deficit of approximately $500,000 each.
So the deficits that those arenas run are entirely on the tax levy. For $25,000, someone else runs this 6th ice pad that gets us a no deficit arena at the expense of the users. What I did say, however, is that if this looks like it's going to pass, it would be unfair to the Pee-wee for it to pass with 3 weeks' notice to the beginning of the year, and that we should look for a reserve fund to pay this from for 2026, so that they have notice of the end of the funding, as opposed to simply cutting it off without notice.
Are we in the committee of the whole, so I can say something
Yeah.
back? So, to me, though it'd only be $25,000, I would say all the more reason that we shouldn't be giving them $25,000 if we're in deficit millions of dollars with our own arenas, but that's just my perspective on this. I appreciate your explanation, and I'm gonna stick to my guns here and see how it goes, and we'll roll the dice. Is that okay? Thank you.
Your motion, Councillor Gardy. Councillor Scott, sorry, as the seconder, did you have anything to add to that?
I had the same conversation with you, Mr. Mayor, I think. You may have had with Mr. Gardy. You made a good point. So I was happy to second basically anything that anyone was going to suggest this year, as long as it made sense. This one made sense. Then I spoke with you, Mr. Mayor, and now I'm kind of on the fence on this whole thing. Sorry, Councillor Gardy. I may vote against this despite seconding it, because it would be unfortunate if they were relying on this, somehow, and we lost one of these rinks, because I know that they're all very busy. It's hard to get ice time. So, yeah, I'm still undecided, but that's all I've got to add.
Okay, we've got Councillor Dufour, Councillor Bruni, Councillor Spina.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to either Mr. Zver or Lamming, do either of you know approximately what year the Pee-wee was built?
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour, it's the same vintage as the McMeek in 1965.
1965. So fair to call it an aging facility at this point. For my point of view, I don't support this motion, even if the Pee-wee's in good shape with charitable fundraising and whatnot. The costs of maintaining an older facility continue to accelerate throughout the years. And one thing that we have seen in Sault Ste. Marie, this one reminds me a lot of, unfortunately, the YMCA, where capital improvements were kept up on, and eventually it got to this point where, the city was faced with this choice of a very significant involvement in the facility or the loss of treasured and valued and quite frankly, necessary community service. I see this kind of investment in the Pee-wee as hopefully a preventative measure for that kind of situation from occurring. And I think we should continue it because it's a very small amount of money for something that this city is not in a position to replace 6 ice pads. So I fully support leaving this in this year and in all years going forward. Thanks.
Mr. Bear, you had something to add to Mr. Lamming?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour. A piece I was going to mention, I went back and reviewed the comments from CAO White during the 2024 budget deliberations. There was a piece of the history started in 1965 with the arena. Then for a while, there was the SRHA Hockey League, and the city was involved in that organization. When that folded, the Pee-wee stepped up to take over the operations and the running of the youth hockey programs in the community. So for those reasons, certainly CAO White and myself, I think, are supportive of the investment in the funding level, albeit it's not huge, $23,000 towards these programs. The organization of the Pee-wee, there are 2 boards. There's the arena board that looks after the facility, and then the hockey league board that looks after the programming. And so I know the arena just purchased a new Zamboni over the last year. Those things aren't cheap either. And it's likely, from the person I spoke with at the Hockey League board, I mean, any of their costs get passed along to the user groups to make up. So this contribution from the city forms a part of their setting of their fees and the operation of the facility.
Councillor Bruni. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. I will not support this only because we're springing this at the last minute, and the Pee Wee Association is not here presenting their case. So in all due fairness, if Mr. Gardy wants to bring this forward in 2026, a resolution, and maybe we can look at it then, and maybe have some presentation from the Pee Wee Association to do their presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Bruni. We'll get back to you, Councillor Gardy. Councillor Spina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not sure if anybody here can answer some of these questions. We've had a bit of a comparison between the PB and the YMCA that we're talking about as community assets. But does anybody know the financial situation of the PB currently? Is it safe to say that we know that they're not in the situation the YMCA was a year ago?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, we've not received any, correspondence that there are any kind of financial difficulties.
We didn't receive correspondence about the why until either, I guess, but, until the end either. But pretty safe to say they're healthy financially, I would suggest. Okay. Do we know roughly how many users are there? If we're looking at dividing out a $23,000 investment over the entire user group of the Pee-wee, are we talking about $1 a person or?
Mr. Lamb. Oh, do you have the answer?
No, I was going to add through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina. I'll let Mr. Lamming speak to this. He probably has better information. I know that the Sioux Pee Wee Hockey League did take on 4 new divisions from Sioux Major this year, the U15 A and 8 House League teams and the U18 A and House League teams. So they've actually expanded the leagues that they serve.
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, the Sioux Pee Wee Hockey League does also rent, that's the main tenant of the Pee Wee Arena, also rents ice from the city facilities. So to the tune of approximately $200,000 annually, the city receives from the Sioux Pee Wee Hockey League. That includes their regular season plus tournaments that they host annually. So that is coming back to the city in a different type of form, in the form of permit revenue that we receive directly.
Thank you. What I'm looking for is if we're suggesting that the user fees would go up to cover the cost of the 23,000, how much would they go up per user? Are we talking dollars and cents here, or it sounds like it if they've already added 4 new divisions, if they've got these massive tournaments and all these things going on, and they're already paying $200 and some thousand and other additional ice times, it sounds like this 23,000 is absolutely insignificant to them, to their operations, but is significant to the taxpayers. Does anyone have insight on that, or is it?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, we don't have the numbers from the Pee Wee. I think it goes to the point we need to have a presentation and dialogue with them to get those kind of statistics.
Thank you. And is the suggestion that if we don't provide this funding, they somehow would not be working with the community any longer? Is that what the suggestion is, or?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Spina, no, I don't believe so.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Spina. Councillor Venezuela. I've got you on the list, Councillor Gardy.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Ver. Mr. Ver, is there a memorandum of agreement, something formalized between the Pee Wee Association and the tax relief of the 25,000, or is it just being done because it's something that we've always done?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Venezuela, I'm not aware of an agreement. I think they have an agreement. Michelle, maybe.
No,
Mr. Lamming, sorry.
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Venezuela, we do have an agreement along with other organizations, and that gets reported every year, and that is a request every year that comes through to Finance and to the Community Services Division to provide that tax relief, and Ms. Maioni may have additional comments on this.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to councillors. We do have an annual agreement. It comes to council at the very beginning of the year to confirm the exact amount, the estimated amount that we will be requesting. And it also provides some KPIs and some capital costs that they've done throughout the year to kind of keep us posted on what they're doing.
I do recall that report. I guess what I'm getting at, and I kind of see where all of this is going, is really in essence, like we fund, the art gallery and the museum and things like that, is that they have to give us an annual report and also their financials. So I think this would be, right now, I think it would be unfair just to kind of pull the rug out from under them and say you're responsible for $25,000. But I think I would like to see moving forward that if we are providing relief in terms of that they don't have to pay their facility tax to us, is that we have a more formalized agreement similar to what we have with other outside organizations that we give granting dollars to. So I'd like to see that come at a different meeting, because I think that's really important when we take a look at what the Pee-wee does. Not saying that it's not valuable to our community, but I think we have to have an even reporting for anyone that receives support as an outside agency to make sure everything is completely fair and equitable.
Yes, you're next, Councilor. Thank you, Councilor Bezois.
So I appreciate people at home that are watching. We're going back and forth over 25 grand, and you might be scratching your head. I'm scratching my head as to why we give them the money every year. Fulsome discussion, I appreciate it. We didn't have this big of a fulsome discussion last year when I brought forward the Innovation Center the year before and said we probably shouldn't fund them any longer. That was in the tune of, I don't know, a few $100,000. City Council supported it at that time, and best of my knowledge, Innovation Center was able to kind of figure things out. I think that was a much bigger part of their budget and a bigger impact than 25 grand is on the Pee-wee. The Pee-wee has 1,000 boys and girls that are there. I don't know how many families that represents. And this reminds me of the Innovation Center stuff, because we had money coming to us and then sending money back to them. And then, so like, I don't know, we give them 23 grand or 25 grand, and then they give us $200,000. Just give us like $175,000. I don't know. But I just think that for the better part of 50 or 60 years, the taxpayers of this community have provided funds to the Pee-wee Arena. The Pee-wee Arena isn't a comparison to the YMCA. The YMCA, and I'll say this because I've been a member there for a decade and a half, was mismanaged. Soo Pee-wee is not. Soo Pee-wee is managed well. I would be shocked if they aren't doing quite well financially. And I wouldn't compare that building to the state of the YMCA because it's apples and oranges. I'm not going to pull this from the agenda. I'm going to put it on there, and I'm going to ask that you support it. If not, if I'm fortunate enough to be here next year, if I decide to be here next year, I'm going to bring it forward again. Or at least, hopefully, some of the recommendations of other councillors are brought forward. So this is a little bit more formal of agreement, and we're just not throwing them $25,000 every year because we think we should, without any real knowledge as to whether or not they require it. Thanks.
Councilor Gardy, Councilor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, to Mr. Ver, maybe, or Ms. Shell. Out of curiosity, has this amount been increasing dramatically? I don't think so.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, no, this has been the typical amount for Soo Pee-wee. It's based on their tax assessment.
Yeah, so they never come back to say, can you, okay. And in all fairness, there is history at this council where we have not given heads up to groups that we're going to be pulling their funding. Goma University, for example, I was the one that did the resolution a number of years ago for the budget. We didn't give them any heads up, and we stopped their funding. So I'm not saying that, anyway, just that. We'll see how this goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hollingsworth. Councilor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just think that it was mentioned that perhaps this could be covered by user fees. And I know we're all trying to our best to be responsible with the taxpayer dollars, but ultimately, if something's going to be transferred to the user, we are transferring things back to families that are already stretched and families that are going to be or have lost jobs. So at this point, for me, I would like to see a report back if Councillor Gardy should choose to do that, to have the CPWE talk about their financial situation and to ensure that this $23,000 or $25,000 is not going to be put back onto families that are already struggling. Hockey is expensive from what I understand. So adding even, an additional $25 to 1,000 kids, it certainly does add up. For that reason, I'm not going to support this. It's the same reason that I won't support the passing on the John Rhodes and GFL Gardens back to user fees. I just think, I recognize we're trying to save, but ultimately this is all going to go back to the same people. So just my 2 cents there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Zagordo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question why we're basically focusing on the CPWE. And I guess my question is through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Bear, I guess. Do we have any other funding agreements with the other rinks? Or is the CPWE the only one that receives an amount of $25,000? And why not?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Zagordo. So the other municipal facilities, obviously we're operating, we don't have any agreement, let's say with the Rankin Arena, they wouldn't pay municipal taxes. So our support for the PWE is solely based on their tax assessment of that facility.
So no other rinks in the city receive money from us other than the PWE?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Zagordo, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, councillors? I want to clarify one thing, which is that this council passed a motion to say only organizations seeking a funding increase would be asked to present. PWE's not seeking a funding increase. That's why they weren't asked to present. That's why the art gallery didn't present this year. That's why the museum didn't present this year. There are a number of others. Bush Plain, I think, is also in that group as well. So if council wishes to change that, certainly that's within our purview, but it's not that they were asked and didn't come or anything of that nature. It's just we asked them not to come by virtue of the resolution that we passed saying only if you were seeking a funding increase. So this is a change in their tax rate. It's not, it's okay. I would just say Councillor Bruni's suggestion is one that I could get behind to get them here at some point before the next budget to explain where this money goes, how their financials are, and everything of that nature, but I can't support this at this time. So all in favor of the reduction of the amount for the PWE? All opposed? That's defeated.
So I've
Councillor Spina and
favor,
Gardy.
Gardy, Hollingsworth, and Spina, and everyone else opposed. I have a motion by Councillors Gardy and Scott. Resolved that requested service level changes numbers 1, active transportation master plan, and 2, Northern Avenue intersection improvements included in budget 2026 be deferred for deliberation during the 2027 budget.
Gardy.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Facey. We're still at 0%?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct for the municipal side.
Great. So I think these two, and sorry, my e-scribe isn't great, so I'm bouncing back and forth from the public agenda to this one, but I think it was 600 and says about 1.2, 1.3 million through you, Mr. Mayor, to somebody who could answer that question, because I can't recall and I can't get back to the report.
What is the amount? Does someone have that hand?
Combined, maybe 1.6?
700 for AT and the Northern was 600.
Okay, so 1.3. So 1.3. So I'm of the opinion that we're doing a lot of good work here this evening, that there have been a lot of creative solutions to bringing the budget down to a point where it's 0%. What I do not want to do is start adding things back to the budget that are significant to add to the levy. I have been, along with Councillor Scott, as vocal a person around this table for the last 7 years to expand the Hub Trail west. It's something the two of us have been speaking about since probably 2018, 2019. I fully appreciate, and I'll obviously let Councillor Scott speak for himself, the situation we're in across our community. And I do not think that this investment should be made this year. I know it's on the supplementary list. I just don't think we should consider it, period, right now, and it should be deferred to our deliberations or next council's deliberations. And hopefully the community's in some better shape financially. As far as the Northern Avenue intersection improvement, obviously, I know a couple of colleagues of mine brought this forward. I appreciate some of their concerns. In the same spirit of my decision as it relates to the active transportation plan, I do not think that this is something that we consider this year. I think we should consider it next year. If not, either both or these are going to add 600,000 or 700,000 or $1.2 million back onto the levy that isn't currently, and we're at 0%. So I plead my case based upon those facts, and I'll let you vote how you see fit. So if you want to add more money back to the levy than the 0%, go ahead. I'm on the record as saying I am not going to be. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Gardy. Councillor Vezo-Allen, I suspect you have the opposing viewpoint.
I would like to bring forth an amended motion. And I've spoken with my colleague, Angela Caputo, who will second. It's in her ward. And I spoke with Mr. Tonazzo in terms of what would be realistic. And I want to thank Councillor Hollingsworth for seconding the Northern Avenue motion. So the amendment would be in terms of both of our asks. So it was supplemental asks 1 and 2, is that to add 600,000 to the active transportation master plan and prioritize accessible and barrier-free crossings for 2026 within the Northern Avenue corridor. And I just want to remind all of my colleagues on council is that we approved the strategic plan, which brings up accessibility. And I had the accessibility committee here for that motion. And the area has been highly examined. It has been studied. It has a high impact area for people with disabilities. We have people that cannot access Metro to get their basics needs. These are also, most of these people are living on Ontario Works and ODSP. They don't have vehicles. They can't afford a cab. And both Councillor Hollingsworth and I, just as I was coming here, received an email from a Cara community resident who saw someone with a cane who was not able to cross Great Northern Road. So while I certainly understand the importance of us being very prudent with our financial spending, I don't think the health and safety and basic human rights of those with disabilities needs to be affected by this. And for anyone in that area, if you observe, it is extremely treacherous. And it's also not able, the people with a large wheelchair cannot actually cross to get to Metro. So if you're living in the Knights of Columbus buildings, which is behind Sleepy's Mattress, you cannot cross at that Pee-wee Cross to get to Metro, nor can you access up Great Northern Road because there is not a curb cut to be able to access that. And Mr. Tonazzo was part of this study and the examination, and we had people out there with their assistive devices, and he can probably give you a more technical explanation of what the deficiencies are in both of those areas, as we did when the motion was passed a few weeks ago.
Mr. Tenazzo, did you have anything to add to that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council, I guess I would add just to say that that corner is gonna see a significant amount of development. It's seeing a significant amount of development. So Cara Community is gonna add, at some point in 2026, we're gonna see 108 new dwelling units. Kitty Corner on the southwest corner of Northern Avenue, the Catalina Motel is gonna be redeveloped to about 33 units. So we're starting to see more development in the area. We've got the Sioux Legion building that's 108 units a little bit further south. When we look at traffic counts, when we look at pedestrian counts, these two intersections are two of our busiest in the community. And the infrastructure just isn't there to match how busy these areas are. And I think, again, we're growing from within, we're seeing infill development, but that infill development does require some upgrades to services. And I think this is just a really good example of how some of that infill development and the taxes that are generated from that infill development does require some upgrades to services.
Thank you, Mr. Tenazzo. Someone had a question? Councilor Bruni?
Question to Mr. Tenazzo through you, Mr. Mayor. If we delay this for another year or possibly 2 years, what is your thought on this? Like, you've inspected the area. My concern, like I'm reading the report or the resolution. I thought it's the crossing of Northern Avenue. We're not talking about the crossing of Great Northern Road. Well, here it says Northern Avenue intersection. So are we talking, the last time we spoke on this, Councilor Vezoellen stated where the Knights of Columbus crossing over to Metro. So that's my understanding.
Each one. So there's Northern and Great Northern Road where Cara Community is, and then there's Pee Wee getting over to Metro. So they had it together as one, the Great Northern intersections, but it's two projects within that are about approximately 300,000 each.
Well, personally, I like what the resolution is right now, is to put it back on budget for 2026, for the 2027 budget. And I will agree with Councilor Gardy, which is hard to believe sometimes. And just to correct Councilor Vezoellen, this is Ward 4, Ward 3.
Angela says it's Ward 3.
It's right on the border.
Right, I think it's right. One side is 3 and one side is 4. Isn't that the boundary?
I've got a number of people on the list, so, but before we do, and I'll go back to you after, Councilor Gardy, because you already had to go around, but Mr. Rumiel, in this year's capital plan, are there projects that we have allocated city funding to that we've also applied for provincial and federal funding for?
Mr. Mayor, yes, the next phase of the Sackville Road extension is from the Housing Enabling Funds. Phase 2 of the People's Road is same provincial money. I'd have to go through the list to do others, but yes, there's the larger portion of the capital road program, if that's what you're talking about, is through grant funding.
But are there, sorry, just to clarify, are there projects that we've allocated municipal dollars to that we might get provincial and federal dollars for, or federal dollars for?
Meredith, I don't believe so. I believe that the municipal dollars that we've applied to those programs cover our share already. I don't think there's other ones that we've applied, with the exception of Connecting Link. But if we don't get the Connecting Link money, that project would just be deferred. Excuse me.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Kinnick.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I believe to Mr. Tenazo. Do we already have like a site design and site plan for the proposed upgrades at this intersection or both intersections?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kinnick. So yeah, engineering has done a preliminary design for both Northern Avenue Metro and Northern Avenue Great Northern Road. So we do have a preliminary design that has been reviewed by the Accessibility Committee and meets the AODA standards.
Okay. And just another question. I know that we have in our building, or how do I say this? And to promote building in our city, we have a reduced tax introduction plan to new builds. So when from these buildings that are around in this area, when are we going to be collecting taxes from them?
Through you, Mayor Shoemaker, to Councillor Kinnick, that's a great question. So with Carroll, we've estimated that in assuming they get their final occupancy permit in 2026, which I suspect they would, their taxes would be estimated to be about $263,000 in 2026. But they're eligible to, it's our older CIP, so it's the 2018 rental housing CIP. So year 1 and 2, they get a 75% rebate, and they get the second year at 75% because they actually put a higher amount of accessible units in the development than required. Year 3, they get a 50% rebate, year 4, 25%, and then year 5, they're paying full taxes.
So then they're paying full tax about year 2031, correct?
2030.
2030, okay. Okay. So just my comments on this are, I do understand the need for the accessibility with the accessible intersections and all this stuff. But I would like to see, once we start collecting taxes from these buildings, that money be spent in those years to upgrade the infrastructure at the street level for accessibility improvement. So I'm going to be supporting Councillor Gardy with the delay for the 2026 to 2027 budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Caputo.
Mr. Mayor, most of my questions have been asked. So I'm just going to give a bit of a comment. I think that as a council, we need to recognize that when we are approving development of homes, we need to be responsible for the development of safe infrastructure around it. And right now, Northern and Great Northern and that crossing from Metro to the Pee-wee has been identified as being unsafe. I get that we're not going to be collecting the full tax amount until 2030, but to have an area with probably the highest concentration of folks living with disabilities wait 4 years to have an intersection improved until the full tax amount is being collected, I think is irresponsible. I think that what Councillor Vezo-Allen is presenting today hits 2 birds with 1 stone. We're able to add to the active transportation funding and allocate that to these streets becoming safe for our residents. I think 1 point further, it's not just about who's living around there. I think every single one of us drives that road. I know that nobody wants to see a tipped wheelchair, a mobility device being tipped over on an intersection like that. So I think just with keeping that in mind, this is something that, like I said, if we approve development, we need to approve the safety of our residents. And I know this is a tough budget year, but safety of our residents, I think, needs to be prioritized here. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Caputo. Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, but just comment, this is becoming really muddy because I second the idea about the intersections, and now it's being lumped in with the active transportation master plan, which I think should be delayed. So this is really becoming muddy. But anyway, through you, Mayor, to maybe Mr. Tenazo, you commented on the development and in the future units that are being built and so forth. Just focusing on these two intersections, can't we come to a win-win maybe for 2026, spend the 300,000 and then 2027 defer the other intersection? Is that a possibility? Or can you really see the resources of being able to build and recreate these two intersections in 2026, knowing that it's a short construction season because winter's so long? I mean, realistically, can we do both intersections?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, I think physically, if, you know, the budget request was put forward for 600,000 to do both intersections. I believe when you do a budget request, you have 3 years to fulfill that budget request. We would focus on trying to do it sooner rather than later. Ultimately, it'll be council's decision as to what you want to build and when you want to build it.
Okay. I just want to throw a friendly amendment that we look at 2026 with maybe allocating the 300,000 and not the full amount. That's all.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that? This is now an amendment to the amendment. Is there a seconder to change the 600,000 to 300,000? Want a clarification? Sure.
Can we vote on the original amendment?
Amending motion, if moved and seconded, takes priority over the original, but it's not seconded yet. So if there's no seconder, then we'll vote on the amendment that you and Councillor Vezoellen have on the floor. That fails, then we vote on Councillor Gardy's motion. But right now, if there is a seconder, Councillor Hollingsworth's motion would amend yours and Councillor Vezoellen's motion. Councillor Dufour, you seconding that?
Want a clarification as well?
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, why is this a service level change request with an ongoing levy attached to it rather than a capital request? Is there something that happens in years following after the construction of the intersections with that money?
I understand it to mean that after the intersections are upgraded, the money goes into active transportation. Is that correct, Councillor Vezoellen?
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
So we've got, Madam Clerk.
So Dufour, you seconded the 300,000? Okay, so this is a motion by Councillors Hollingsworth and Dufour that the motion be amended to add $300,000 to the active transportation master plan and prioritize accessible and barrier-free crossings in 2026 in the Northern Avenue corridor.
Okay, so we're not going to amend this any further. Just try and stick with 3 motions that we're currently dealing with.
Can I ask one last question?
Go ahead, yeah.
Clarification. Mr. Facey, what would be the effect on the levy increase if the motion to add $300,000 were to pass?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the municipal share would increase to 0.21%, bring a total levy increase to 4.08%.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, so seeing no other questions, we will vote. Can you read that motion in its entirety? The motion presented by Councillor Vezoellen and Caputo as amended by Councillor Hollingsworth and Dufour.
If I cancel the vote and then just reopen it, okay?
Yeah.
So the Vezoellen Caputo motion be amended to add $600,000 to the active transportation master plan and prioritize accessible and barrier-free crossings in 2026 within the Northern Avenue corridor. The Hollingsworth Dufour amendment that we're voting on is the same motion, but it's that the motion be amended to add $300,000 to the active transportation master plan and prioritize accessible and barrier-free crossings in 2026 within the Northern Avenue corridor. I'll open that.
Before we vote on that, I just want to express similarly to Councillor Gardy's comments that we are at 0. And though this is a worthy cause, I think that difficult budget year we're in, it demands that we make hard choices, and this is one of the motions I am not going to support in order to keep the tax levy as low as possible. Thank you. All in favor? Oh, sorry, no, I'm not in favor. Any opposed? That fails from what I could tell.
There's a go. And Councillor Spina opposed. So that fails 7-4.
So are we back on the Bezawal and Caputo motion? So this is for 600,000 to be added to the budget.
So exactly the same motion, but it was $600,000.
Favor? Opposed? Okay, that fails. 9-2 as far as I could tell.
Solar Spina opposed.
So East Coast is not working.
Yes.
And then the Councillor Gardy original motion with Councillor Scott to defer this to next year's preliminary budget.
If we passed Councillor Gardy's motion as it's written, does that mean that any other reports or requests from council over the year would not be able to come forward without a request for reconsideration?
No, because we're in committee of the whole, correct, Madam Clerk?
That's correct.
Okay.
These are straw votes, not.
Just one.
Straw votes, we do record it so that councillors aren't put in a position where if you're just voting on the omnibus motion at the end, that then you're in effect voting for something that you didn't agree with the whole thing. So this is to reflect things more precisely as they go through committee of the whole.
Okay, so hypothetically, if some funding came available or something like that, we could do this in year without running into a procedural issue. That's all I wanted to clarify. Thank you.
So.
It's a motion.
Oh,
Shall I read it?
Yet? Okay.
Motion by Councillors Gardy and Scott resolved that requested service level changes, numbers 1, active transportation master plan, and 2, Northern Avenue intersection improvements included in budget 2026 be deferred for deliberation during the 2027 budget.
All in favor? Opposed? That carries.
Councillor Spina in favor, right? And those were all the proposed amendments from the budget agenda and the addendum to budget. And Councillor Kinnick brought several forth prior to the meeting.
Can we deal first with the ones that have seconders, Madam Clerk? 7 and 8. Oh.
5 and 6.
On my screen, but never, whichever ones you've got them as.
Oh, it's because they got lined up after addendum. Motion by Councillors Kinnick and Hollingsworth. Be it resolved that the corporation of the City of Sault Ste. Marie increase all parking fines by $10 effective in the 2026 fiscal year, and that the estimated additional revenue of approximately $48,000 based on 4,805 parking tickets issued year to date in 2025 be applied as savings to the 2026 budget.
Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Kinnick's mic.
There we go.
There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just in a deep dive of our budget here, I was going through some fine tuning and balancing and looking where we had revenue shortfalls or deficits and trying to plug leaks little by little that would add up to a lot with not a big effect to, or that would add up on the levy or reduce the levy and not a big effect on our citizens in Sault Ste. Marie. So I identified this area with the help of our Mr. Lamming. So our parking division is usually running a deficit of year-to-date from October in 2025 was about $95,000. Year 2024 was $210,000. 2023 was $130,000 in deficits. Just by increasing the tickets, like I said we handed out year-to-date 4,800 parking tickets. If we increase that by $10 each, we would get almost $50,000 more towards that, and that would offset the levy because that's all that deficit is 100% on the levy right now. So I'm hoping we can get the support of council tonight to get that passed and give a little bit of a break to the taxpayer on the levy. Thank you.
Councillor Hollingsworth. Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Hollingsworth, anything to add?
Nope, I was happy to be the seconder.
Thank you. I have a question for Ms. Mayoni. In this scenario, is it a straight line projection in terms of new revenues, or is there offsets for, people traveling less to areas where there's fee for parking at the risk of getting a higher ticket? Do you know? What's been the past history on increasing ticket fees and the impact it has on parking?
To you, Mr. Mayor. So the parking division actually increased the parking infraction fees back in 2022. So June 1st, 2022, we actually increased them significantly. For example, what was a $10 ticket was increased to a $30 ticket. If paid within 7 days, it was reduced by $10, so it was still doubled what it was prior to June 1st, 2022. It is quite the process to go through. I had to work with legal on it, as there's some approvals as well to go through. So it's a very lengthy process with, like I mentioned, a lot of approvals to go through, and we did just significantly increase them in 2022.
Councillor Venezuelan?
Well, I certainly understand wanting to increase revenues. My concern would be like right now, the expired meter, the overtime limit, and the prohibited area are $30 each. And if you pay them early, they're $20. So I think by just having a $10 across the board increase versus say, if you're in a designated handicap space, it's $300. I just would be concerned with how that's going to affect our everyday person that's parking. We are already very concerned about budget and everyone's ability to pay. I would be a sliding scale, or especially if we're looking at designated handicap spaces, fire routes, things like that, having more higher priority increases that really affect kind of the day-to-day issues, I think would be more important. But I think right now to hunker a $10 ticket across the board to our taxpayers at this time is not really conducive to the financial situations that many might be facing. From what I hear from Ms. Mayoni, may be a lengthy process through legal to do so. So at this point, I'm not going to support.
Thank you, Councillor Venezuelan. Other councillors? Just a question, a follow-up on that, what Ms. Mayoni's answer was in terms of legal giving approval. Is there, what is the process for that? Or perhaps Mr. Lamming can provide feedback as well. What is the process for that? How long does it take? Would it get us the full revenue? Like, would we be able to do it for January 1st and get the full 48,000 or so? Or would it take some time and we'd be inserting a lower amount in 2026?
Through Mr. Mayor, I'm going to defer to Mr. King, but what I understand is it needs ministry approval, but I'll pass it over to the city solicitor.
So that is correct through Mr. Mayor. There is a process for increasing the fines. It's not necessarily exclusive to this council. So once that request is made to say increase it by $10, we do have to increase our fine schedule. That goes to the regional justice senior, and they do have the final approving authority on that. So it's a possibility that they do increase it. There is also the possibility that they do deny it. As Ms. Mayoni has indicated, we did do a rather substantial increase of about 50% in 2022. So we do look at reviewing that periodically, usually every 5-year increments, so we're coming close. But there is a suggestion there that it may or may not be approved, despite this body endorsing it.
So, go ahead, Councilor Bruno. I was,
This time, how long does it take to get approval?
To you, Mr. Mayor, we do, from our end, we could provide the schedule fairly quickly. And then it would be the administrative timeline, so likely a couple months before we hear back from them with that increase.
Michelle or Mr. Facey, is there some level of confidence that, assuming that we got the approvals necessary, 48,000 would be the number? Or would you have to drill down on that at all?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we have not had a chance to review the numbers that have been calculated on here. So I can't express it with any sort of confidence that that would be the number. If it is something that council wants to proceed on, we would have to prorate what is provided, probably maybe in half.
Councilor Zagordo, did I see your hand up? Councilor Caputo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's just really important that we remember that we're trying to save citizens of Sault Ste. Marie money. And this motion is suggesting to further penalize citizens of Sault Ste. Marie. So while I appreciate us trying to bring the revenue stream up, I think we need to remember that this is going to be, these fines are mostly going to be given to residents of Sault Ste. Marie who have already taken a 50% increase just a few years ago. So I won't be supporting it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Caputo. Councilor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Basically, if you are in the wrong, if you are parked in a spot and the time limit is expired and so forth, you gain a fine, correct? Just to clarify, is that through to Mr. Jeffrey King, through you, Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, to Council, I think that is correct. So you would get a ticket, and you'd be asked to pay that ticket, or you could contest that ticket.
Right. And in most cases, most people have wiggle room where if you're a minute over, 5 minutes over, the person's not just right there ticketing you. There is a wiggle room in most cases. My point is, in society, we have rules. In society, we have fines. And most of us abide by those rules. You know that the expiry is coming. We have apps now. We have other ways to basically make sure that we pay for our parking in the amount of correct time. I think if you go against the rule, you should be fined. Just basically, it's just nothing taken away from a person that can't afford this. It's nothing about penalizing anyone. It's just basically you're over the allotted time and you don't put in the meter, the extra money, you're fined. End of story, clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hollingsworth. I kind of generally support the idea. I just am concerned about the specific wording that we add 48,000 in revenue, because what I'm hearing is there's a bit of uncertainty around that. So I think we could direct staff to do something along this lines and come back to us. I just am not sure what they can translate that into in terms of budget effect for tonight. Is there any number? I realize this is why, Councillor Kinnick, frankly, this is why we asked that the motions be in on Thursday, so that the staff can have just a little bit of time to analyze this stuff. Mr. Facey, Ms. Shell, like I think you said, if we halved this, is that a level of confidence you'd be prepared to go with tonight? If it passes, of course.
I'll pass it over to Steve to get his opinion as well, but I'm not comfortable without having reviewed this, to be honest.
through you, Mr. Mayor, with the uncertainty of the timing, if this actually gets approved or not, and then it being too late once the levy savings are built into it, I wouldn't recommend anything higher than 0 with the uncertainty. If there's some risk involved, should council go forward with any number of this, tied to this resolution.
Councillor Kinnick, are you okay if we pass this motion without the budget impact and essentially direct staff to increase the fees and bring it back to us in year and it'll come back
We'll
with
get
the
the savings at the
at,
budget update
at the year end?
after year, yeah.
Councillor Scott?
So if this passes and it comes back, do we have another chance to vote on what comes back?
Yes, we'll have to either approve or vote down the amended fee schedule. Correct, Mr. King?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So you want me to cancel this and take the monetary?
I think it's essentially a friendly amendment to
Yeah, I'm just
I
going
think
to
for
cancel the vote because I've
estimated.
already cast it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I will why don't we just stop at, be it resolved that the corporation of the city of Sault Ste. Marie increase all parking fines by $10 effective in the 2026 fiscal year.
or as soon as possible thereafter kind of thing, I think is. But Hollingsworth is the second. Yeah. Okay, that is open. With a report back, yes. Staff understands that it's a report back, yes. Okay. All in favor? Opposed? That carries. To 3.
And a motion by councillors Kinnick and Hollingsworth, be it resolved that the corporation of the city of Sault Ste. Marie increase all parking passes by 20% effective in the 2026 fiscal year, and that the resulting increased revenue be applied as savings to the 2026 budget.
Kinnick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is part 2 of the same to try to address the issue that we have a deficit in our parking department. Everything else is going up every year. Our parking rates and our parking tickets have been stationary since 2022. It does need to be reviewed and we do need to do inflationary increases, I think, for these departments so we can recover the amount of money required to run our parking department. So I feel that if we raise fees, we can also provide a better service for parking and have the appropriate budget so that parking is not subsidized by the taxpayer on the levy. Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Hollingsworth as the seconder. Anything to add there? Councillor Caputo.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to CAO Ver. Mr. Ver, do you know how this would affect budgets that have already been put forward to the city, such as the DSAB budget, who pays for a lot of parking passes?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, I don't. I think, given the timing of this resolution, staff haven't had the ability to do the analysis on this to determine what the impact would be on individual user groups. And I think when staff set the fee schedule, they often look at, what are market rates? What are our other parking lots charging? So I believe that, before doing this kind of increase, it would be important for staff to, do a review of it, come back with analysis that council could then consider in making a decision like this.
So it would be your recommendation that this be a motion brought forward at another time to have a report brought back to then increase?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, with respect, that would be my suggestion in order to make sure that we get this right and we stay in line with the market that's out there and also the consideration for the impact to current users.
Mr. Mayor, can I amend the motion and bring it forward as CAO Vare has asked? That we would ask for a report from staff?
You have a seconder? Counselor Vezo Allen? Just, this, so this is the second motion that's been amended to be the complete opposite of what's being asked in the main motion. Because we're in committee of the whole, we'll kind of let it go. But you can't generally amend a motion to do the opposite thing of what the original motion's asking for. But rules are a bit more relaxed in committee of the whole.
If I can't do it, I can't do
No,
it.
that's, we allowed it on the Gardy Northern Avenue motion, so we'll allow it the rest of the night. Just before we get to you, Council.
West, maybe, or can I would want to amend it?
Right, if it's a friendly amendment, then we can deal with it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I could do a friendly amendment. We would want to report back to council to see. And then maybe if we're going to do a report back, we can see different percentage increases, not just a flat number. And I would hope that we can have this ready in 2026 to be implemented, let's say 2027 budget, then if we're going to amend it like that.
Mr. Bear, could this all be part of the same report? The parking ticket fees, the parking permit fees? Okay, I think your mic is on, but what you said was that you'll do a report or two to cover off the requests. Councillor Hollingsworth, are you okay with that friendly amendment?
I am. I just want to clarify something. Going into the weeds for a second. Out of curiosity, the money that we raise from the parking passes and the fines, does that go right directly back into maintenance of these parking lots?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingsworth, yes, the revenues offsets the costs in the parking division.
Okay, because there's a number of our parking lots that still continue to have large potholes that have never been dealt with. So hopefully we can focus on that. Thank you.
So I have it, be it resolved that staff be requested to review and report back to council regarding increasing parking passes by 20%.
Or I think if I'm understanding, or other recommended amount, right? You weren't necessarily pegged at the 20?
Regarding increasing parking passes?
Yes. Okay. So with that, seeing no other questions, we could have a vote on that. All in favor? That carries. That was everybody in favor? There are
And I have
9 motions without seconder. Okay, so we'll have you read them. We'll see if
So-
there are seconders.
motion moved by Councillor Kinnick. Be it resolved that the 2026 transfer to own funds for community development and enterprise services be capped at 4.4%. That is $73,802, reduced from the proposed 16.25%, $272,276, resulting in estimated savings of $198,924 in 2026.
Or a seconder for that? Okay, seeing.
Dialogue, maybe some explanation on this, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Councillor Bruni, Councillor Kinnick, do you
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Going through the budget, we have this line in every department, it's called transfer to own. Every department has this line. Every department came in except for 2 departments under 4.4%. 4.4% is double the rate of inflation from last year, which I think is a fair. Transfer to own is double what inflation is. I don't know why these 2 were so high. I asked some questions, and I wasn't really happy with the answers I got, so I think we can reduce them because this isn't a service level, this is for future projects or something else, and I think for a one-year savings, we can come up with this, and next year it will be, you can try again for the amount you need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Bruni as the seconder.
Yeah, no, I'll second it just for dialogue. To Mr. Facey, question? What are your thoughts on this? As Councillor Kinnick said, every department has this transfer to own funds in their line budget. If it's reduced, what occurs?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the transfer to own funds node within the corporation's budget goes to fund a numerous amount of things, such as the sanitary budget, the roads budget, various capital programs, such as included within this specific area would be cemetery capital services, transit capital programs, rec and culture, and our community arenas. So by reducing these transfer owned funds within 2026 would result in less capital funding in perpetuity for these assets. It would mean less transit capital programming or capital initiatives going forward in the 26, 27, and future budgets unless the funding was replenished on the tax levy in a future year. So within this is capital revenues for cemetery services for crypts and niches. So these revenues would then offset operations, which isn't very sustainable, none of which would be recommended within the 2026 budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Further to Councillor Bruni's questioning, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Facey. How did the departments come up with their percentages? So if it varies, as Councillor Kinnick is pointing out, some of them are below, some of them are above. Is there like a set formula for departments to have?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's a number of calculations that go on during our budget process. Specific to cemetery operations, the capital revenues offset the transfer to own funds, so they're not offsetting the operating expenses. So the higher they are in 1 year, the higher the transfer to own funds is, which will skew the year-over-year percentage changes. For transit and other annual allocations, they're basically inflated to keep up with the rising costs.
Okay, so they're all tied to like real dollars and real figures elsewhere. So messing with one side could cause, I don't even know, weird results, I guess, in the end.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. This would result in amendments to the 2026 capital budget as well, because all of these allocations are spoken for. Yes, it would change things drastically.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Seeing none, we can vote on the matter. All in favor? Any opposed? That fails.
Motion by Councillor Kinnick. Be it resolved that the 2026 transfer to own funds for corporate financials be capped at 4.4%, $634,257, reduced from the proposed 8.4%, $213,739, resulting in estimated savings of $579,483 in 20.
There's no seconder for this. Anyone wish to second it? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk, we can go to the next motion.
By Councillor Kinnick, whereas the Corporation of the City of Sault Ste. Marie was advised in a recent transit study that the city's transit passes are currently heavily discounted. Therefore, be it resolved that the Corporation of City of Sault Ste. Marie increase the cost of all transit passes by 15% while maintaining single ride fares at their current rate, and further that the resulting savings be applied to the 2026 fiscal year.
Does anyone wish to second this motion? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk.
A motion by Councillor Kinnick, resolved that the Downtown Plaza operating budget for 2026 be set at an increase of $145,976, representing a $25,000 savings from the proposed 2026 budget.
There's a seconder for this motion. Councillor Scott. Okay, Councillor Kinnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, we all know the controversy of the Downtown Plaza. This council is not ignorant of that. My issue with this is now the ongoing expense to operate the Downtown Plaza, it would be $475,000. I was hoping we could shave off $25,000 from that, still giving them an increase from last year's operating budget. I did have a question for Mr. Lamming, which was, we've seen the operating budget or the revenue from the Downtown Plaza at $13,000. And through you, Mr. Mayor, to Mr. Lamming, do we expect the Downtown Plaza to make more than $13,000 this year? Because
You, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Kinnick, the revenue line is fairly stable. What we do have is fundraising from donations from corporate givers such as GFL and Steel Speed that support events such as the puck drop that's coming up in the tune of 16,000 or services in kind. So we see a lot more of that type of support happening with the plaza. And that's all I have to say on that. Thank you.
Okay. So just to final comments. So something I see is happening as a trend is we are getting addicted to the MAT fund. The MAT fund only builds new things. And then after that, those items that are added to our community, the infrastructure, it has to go on an operating line in the city budget, and it has to be every year maintained. So I'm hoping, this being Downtown Plaza, the first out of the many, because we are having many future projects with the MAT, that we can look at the operating expenses and bring them down a little bit, because we're going to add more and more every year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kinnick. Councillor Scott as the seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just more curious to know what Councillor Kinnick's line of thought was on this, and it didn't seem like it was too much of an amount to reduce, so I have nothing to add.
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Councillor Garrity.
I don't know what we've been doing the last little while here. We're at zero. I think we've acted quite prudently based upon what we wanted to do from the outset. And I'm just going to address the comment about the controversy of the Downtown Plaza. I don't know what that was really referring to, what the controversy is at the Downtown Plaza. I'm not going to ask for clarification either, because I don't know if it's warranted. But I think we're at zero. I don't know what we're doing. I think we should just kind of move on. There's probably a couple of supplementary asks that aren't a lot we could talk about that wouldn't add a heck of a lot to the levy. That's just kind of my position as to it should continue. Thanks.
Ready, Councillor Vezo-Allen.
Thank you. To Mr. Fazy or Ms. Shell, the municipal accommodation tax, what can that be used for, as my colleague Councillor Kinnick referred to in this motion?
Through Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Vezo-Allen, the municipal accommodation tax by regulation has to be used for tourism and tourism promotion.
Thank you. Nothing else.
Mr. CAO, is this a true increase to operational to the city's overall operational budget?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to your question to Mr. Mayor. Part of the increase you're seeing with the Downtown Plaza is just the allocation of summer students. So they used to be under the community recreation and culture budget. And because they were doing events at the downtown plaza last year, they just allocated them under that line item. So it's the same net result to the community. It would be a decrease to the summer student budget under rec and culture, and then that slides over to the downtown plaza. So that's part of the reason you're seeing the increase. It's no net new resources. It's just a reallocation of the budgets to capture which department they're in correctly now.
So following that line of thought, if it was reduced, would there be a reduction in 2 summer students overall from the city?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, sorry, yes, essentially staff would have to look at where to cut that budget, and it would result in an impact to the services provided.
With that information, we can vote on the matter. All in favor? Opposed? Else.
So that's defeated 7-3.
7-3. Did someone not vote?
I think, Sir,
She was against.
I had 3 in favor. Okay. So it's, yeah. And a motion by Councillor Kinnick, be it resolved that the tourism and community development budget for 2026 be increased by $52,600, 4.4%, resulting in a savings of $91,800 from the originally proposed increase of $144,400 or 12%.
Your seconder for this? Councillor Scott? Go ahead, Councillor Kinnick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, just going through the budget, identified an area that was what I found higher in one department versus the others at a 12% increase on the levy. I was hoping to bring it down to a 4.4, which would be double the rate of inflation and result in the reduction of the levy as stated. Thank you.
Councillor Scott as seconder.
Nothing to add. Thank you, Mayor.
Any questions on this? Councillor Hollingsworth?
Through you, Mayor, to, I guess, Mr. Travis Anderson. Can you comment on why the 12%? Are there some special events, special programming that you want us to be aware of that's going to be taking place in 2026?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Hollingworth. So admittedly, this is the first time that I've seen this request, and the budget is actually an aggregate budget. So the primary reason for the increase is twofold. One, we've increased our projections on the utilization of the mat. Year over year, we historically have sorry, this is going to take a second. We don't actually know the true value that we bring in from the mat until 2 months later. So we don't know the actual budget until March 2026. But historically, for the past few years, we've been a couple $100,000 lower than what we had predicted. So we raised that this year. And the other is that there is a future Sault Ste. Marie's reserve is now being depleted. And I can turn that over to Steve to speak to further if you'd like.
That'd be great.
For you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Anderson's correct. The future SSM reserve has been depleted as of 2025 year end. So the 2026 budget reflects that reduction in revenue, which is reflecting the significant increase in 2026.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. That's very helpful. And hypothetically, in the future, if we come across there's a department or area that has like a large increase, like has been noted here, 12%, maybe we can put like a footnote in the future budget that can give us a little explanation, and just an idea for a next budget. If there's something that seems excessive, put a little footnote like you do when you have your audit statements. Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hollingsworth. Certainly, council motion could direct staff to do so. Okay. Any other questions on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Number of people did not raise their hands, so opposed. That appears to me to fail, but
Counselor Spina,
was in favor. He was opposed, okay. Okay.
so that fails 9-2. And a motion by Counselor Kinnick, be it resolved that the John Rhodes operating budget for 2026 be set at $1,768,573, and that this adjustment result in $100,000 in levy savings, the corresponding $100,000 increase in user fees.
Or seconder for this motion? Councilor Bruni? Okay, we'll go to Councilor Kinnick first as the mover, and then we'll come back to you as seconder.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So realistically, all it would, this request would be take it off the levy and put it on to the people who are using it. We had a similar discussion earlier with the Peewee. And if this doesn't pass tonight, I think in the future I will be bringing a motion about operation costs and stuff to review them for in the council going. Thank you.
Councilor Bruni?
I don't know who to direct this, but if we reduce it by $100,000 and after 2026, $100,000, we're over, where does the money, where do we replenish it from? Do we have a reserve for that?
Through Mr. Mayor to Councillor Bruni, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that if we do not realize the user fees and we're in a deficit position for this, it really would depend on where other departments are. A lot of times we look at corporate, so you may have another area that had a surplus, which would offset this. But if there wasn't anything corporately to manage this, we'd be in a deficit position.
And to whoever can respond, how can we increase it by $100,000 in user fees? Like, what are we looking at? Like, for instance, what do we rent the ice for? And how much would we have to increase it? I guess maybe to Mr. Laming, through the mayor to Mr. Laming.
Through Mr. Mayor to Councilor Bruni, there's a few things we'd have to consider because there's the pool user fees on the one side and there's the ice arena fees on the other. We have consistent ice rental rates from the John Rhodes and from the NCC, and we have a different rate for the GFL being the premier facility. So we'd have to take a look at to see that to be standardized across the board, how you'd apply that. We also have set agreements for youth organized rates for organizations such as the Soo Pee Wee Hockey League, Soo Major Hockey League. So we'd have to do a fairly in-depth analysis to make any recommendation on that.
Okay, thank you. I will vote against it, and probably the next one also because it deals with the Memorial Gardens. But I believe Councillor Kinnick is on the right track. Maybe a resolution should come forward in the new year and asking for staff for a report back. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Bruni. Any other questions on this? Okay, seeing none, we can have vote on the matter. All in favor? Opposed? That's defeated.
Councillor Spina, opposed? Thank you. That fails 10-1. And Sir Kinnick, be it resolved that the GFL Memorial Gardens operating budget for 2026 be set at $972,557, and that this adjustment result in $100,000 in levy savings with a corresponding $100,000 increase in user fees.
Is there a seconder for this? Okay, seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Then I have a motion by Councillor Kinnick, be it resolved that the miscellaneous construction budget for 2026 be set at $490,495, representing a savings of $54,500 or 10%.
Seconder for that? Councilor Bruni? Okay, we're going to go to Councillor Kinnick as the mover.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this was one of the funds that staff recommended that we use to support the boardwalk renovation. I thought I voted against it at the time because I think that was the point of the miscellaneous construction budget, was to do the boardwalk and the downtown design. If this is going to be used, I would really love to see it used for our accessibility on Northern Avenue and Great Northern Road. That came up. I thought that would be a great place, but if we did have $150,000 extra in this account that went to allocate for the design and the planning site of the boardwalk from City Hall all the way to the library, I think we can cut this budget a little bit because I don't think they're spending it every year. Thank you.
Councillor Bruni is the seconder.
I don't know who to direct this, but miscellaneous construction, what type of work is done?
Romeo?
Romeo?
Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, miscellaneous construction on an annual basis funds our bridge inspections, various environmental assessments that come about before large projects commence, other engineering studies, traffic studies, our rear yard drainage program, things such as the Herkimer Street Bridge studies. This year in particular, we have to redo our pavement condition indexes as part of the asset management plan. That alone is a $100,000 exercise. And our transportation master plan is due for an update. So those are some pressures on that budget this year. I'm not sure what is meant by the boardwalk improvements.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'll probably be voting against it, but thank you.
Any other questions, Council? Councillors, all the motions in 6.1.1, the 12 motions that we voted on that brought the budget down to zero, were drafted so as to not reduce roads or construction budgets, because that is an area where we are severely underfunded, and reducing any road or construction budget is a reduction in what I would say are critical municipal services, and I can't support it and don't support it and hope you won't support it either. So, all in favor of this motion? Opposed?
Councillor Spina.
Opposed.
That fails 10-1. And a motion by Councillor Kinnick, be it resolved that the miscellaneous programs budget for 2026 be set at $30,000, representing a savings of $3,000 or 10%.
Is there a seconder for this motion? Okay, seeing none. Before we exit 6.1, this is your chance on matters before us to be added, removed. I know we've just dealt with 24 motions, but Councillor Caputo, and then Councillor Dufour, and then Councillor Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wondered if I could defer the goose management to 2027 budget. If I would get a seconder for that.
Councillor Gardy. Goose management cost was presented to council. It is in the supplementary. You're asking that it be deferred to the supplementary for next year. This is where we all test how quickly the clerk can type these motions up.
That was Caputo and
Gardy.
resolve that the supplementary item for goose management be deferred to 2027 budget deliberations.
All in favor? That carries. And Councillor Caputo, was that all you had?
Yes.
Okay, Councillor Dufour?
Yes, service level change number 6, the Ermitinger Clerg National Historic Site. Does that one need to be added, or has it already? Leave it would, I haven't seen a motion on it yet, so that's why I'm asking.
It does need to be added.
Okay, I've moved to approve service level change number 6 at a total ongoing cost of $0.
Okay. Is this increase the complement without a budget impact, Council? Councillor Gardy will second that. Or Councillor Bezual, and I'll get you on the next one. Okay, we'll do Councillor Bezual, and it's in her ward.
What's the service level number?
Service level change number 6.
Digital.
To hire digital coordinator for Ermitinger Clerg National Historic Site permanently. With ongoing cost of $0. A full-time position can be funded by shifting part-time hours and moving funds from other areas to support the growing needs at ECNHS.
Resolve that service level change 6, Ermitinger Clerg National Historical Site Digital Coordinator at a $0 cost be approved.
So, Councillor Bruni, did you have a question on that? Oh, you've got a separate matter. Okay.
I'm sorry, who is the seconder for this?
Councillor Bezual. So, all in favor of that? That carries. Councillor Dufour, did you have other matters to advance?
Yeah, I would put forward for council's consideration service level change number 5, pickleball facilities, and if there's a seconder, I have a question about the motion.
Councillor Hollingsworth.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, to I guess Susan Hamilton Beach, or whoever else wants to answer it. Now, if this motion is approved, will staff do an evaluation of which pickleball court is in most need of resurfacing, or will there be, like I remember when we first discussed it that there was Snowden and Penn Horwood Park were both in similar condition. So I'm just wondering, what would the effect of the approval of this be for both of those courts, or would it just be one and not the other?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour. Director Perry will respond to that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Dufour. 75,000 would be sufficient for one larger court. So next year, it's likely going to be Snowden. We'll do an analysis on all the courts just to confirm, but the age would warrant Snowden to be first in line.
Okay, and if this is approved as a service level change, does it stand to reason that then Penn Horwood would be in the next year automatically?
It would be ongoing upgrades, and Penn Horwood would rank relatively high to the other courts for refurbishment. Okay.
And then my last question is to Mr. Facey. Mr. Facey, what would be the effect on the city portion if this $75,000 change was added in?
For you, Mr. Mayor, it would increase from 0.00 to 0.6%, bringing the total to 3.92%.
Sorry, 0.6?
0.06.
0.06, okay. Yes. So that's 0.06%. Thank you. That's all my questions.
Councillor Hollingsworth as the seconder.
I just want to basically say to, again, those individuals that came, I think there was like 65, 75 roughly people came that night to the gallery to support this. And there's been a lot of work across the entire city, not Snowden, but across the entire city where people use pickleball. And please don't think that it was just the group from Snowden. It was everyone from across the community that was in this gallery that night to try to encourage us to support this. Thank you.
Councillor Bruni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Ms. Hamilton Beach. To keep our levy at 0, can this resurfacing of Snowdon Park be in-house and not charged on the levy? Is that possible?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Bruni, that is the in-house cost for materials and equipment.
So it's no charge to our levy to keep it 0 at 0?
75,000 would represent the materials and equipment that would be required.
Earlier, Mr. Mayor, if that can be done in-house, I'd charge to the levy. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, Councillor Bruni and I had discussed paying this from a reserve, and I was looking through the list of reserves sent to me earlier, Mr. Facey. There's a Parks and Recreation Reserve that appears to have a balance of roughly 96,000 in it. Is that available to use for this?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have to double check to see what commitments are already existing within the 2026 capital budget from that reserve. Just a couple minutes of your time.
Please. This is, $96,904. While, oh, sorry, did you find that, Mr. Facey, that quickly?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's 38,000 being recommended from the Parks and Recreation Reserve for the senior center's rooftop unit. So it would leave less funds than required for this initiative.
Okay, so how about between the Parks and Recreation Reserve and the 5% subdivider fee? Is there enough available?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there would be sufficient funds between those, the reserve and the reserve fund, yes.
Is that an amendment to the motion, Councilor Bruni? Seconder, okay, Councilor, you're seconding the main one, so we'll have Councilor Spina second the amendment. Councilor Caputo, do you have a question still?
I have more questions now, actually, than before. My first question is, how many city-owned pickleball courts are there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Caputo, there are there's 19 hard surface courts. Of those hard surface courts, there's Snowdon, Penn Horwood, Elliott Sports Complex. And then there's quite a few tennis courts that I can't confirm off the top of my head whether they're also multi-use for pickleball as well.
Sorry, how many courts would
Total?
like resurfacing? Yeah. Okay, so I think that from my perspective, I appreciate what everyone's trying to do, keeping the levy at 0. This is 0.06%, and it would effectively add into the budget every single year we could resurface a court. So you're not going to have to see 75 people in the gallery begging to have infrastructure taken care of. I think that this is, like, our parks are so important. There are a number of, as Mr. Perry said, a number of parks, including Penn Horwood, like Councillor Dufour had talked about. And I would personally like to see this go onto the levy so that in years to come, other assets are taken care of. So I'm happy to support. I want to see this done either way, but I would encourage council to think long-term on this one. It is a very, of course, everything is significant right now, but in terms of being 6/100ths of a percentage, it's a small ask going forward. And you know, as a council, it would leave our mark to be able to say, you know, we're committed to this year over year. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Caputo, Councilor Spina.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll start by saying I agree with a lot of what my colleague has said about the parks and resurfacing. However, this is not the year for new spending, in my opinion. Now, my colleague, Councillor Bruni, has brought up some appropriate areas of funding where we can find funding to get these projects done. And I apologize, I'm having troubles with my computer. Otherwise, I was looking at the same reserve funds tonight. If and when this council has the ability to complete these projects that will benefit the community without the need to tax our people further or take additional funds from our community, it's incumbent upon us to take action and do that. And I think that's what we are presenting here today. Next year, I think economic conditions will more than likely be a lot better than they are this year, and that is the time for those additional conversations. I just don't think it's this year. I don't think this year's the time to have conversations about spending in perpetuity. That's a conversation reserved for next year. For this year, job well done to find the funds in a place where it will not come from the pockets of citizens.
Councillor Dufour, question? Clarification?
I want to amend the amendment.
Oh, boy.
Very minor. Can this, if it is going to be paid for with one-time funding, then can we forward the same operational request to the 2027 budget deliberations? Just so that that's automatically coming, because we know there are more courts that will need to be done.
We can, I just, the specific to Snowden Park. So I think it's probably better just to bring a motion at next council in January to have something included in the preliminary budget, kind of generally about resurfacing.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So it's a motion by Councillors Dufour and, oh, sorry.
Did you have your hand up? Okay. All right. I think
We're good.
with that draft.
It's a motion by Councillors Dufour and Hollingsworth, resolved that service level item 5, resurfacing outdoor recreation facilities, specifically Snowden Park pickleball courts, be approved at a cost of $75,000 to be funded from the Parks and Recreation Reserve and 5% subdividers reserve.
All in favor? Opposed? That carries. Mr. Facey, can you confirm, are we still at 0%? 0.00, that is.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's correct. 0.00% for the municipal side, 3.87% total, or the same amount on the levy and local board side.
Thank you. We went to Councillor Hollingsworth. You were next on the list. You were going to probably bring up the pickleball resolution, right? So you didn't have another one? Okay. Then Councillor Spina, did I have you on the list or no? Any other councillors with service level changes? Okay, Madam Clerk.
So, capital budget deliberations, I didn't receive any amendments.
I think we dabbled into the capital budget while we were doing the operational budget.
And
Mr. Facey, did you have?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there are a couple capital budget amendments with the capital inflation being removed, specifically for the public works fleet, as well as the capital inflation for roads. So if you'd like, I can read what I've prepared for the resolution when we get out of committee of the whole. So just a couple capital budget amendments. It's reducing the resurfacing budget of 31,000 with the capital inflation reduction. And then with the public works fleet reduction, there's an increase in the heavy duty fleet of 80,000 and reduction of 276,000. As well as that's where I've put the resurfacing for Snowden Park is in the capital resolution because it doesn't have an impact on the tax levy. So those are our 4 capital budget amendments for 26.
Oh, you'll provide that info to Madam Clerk? Okay.
And item 6.3 is the sanitary rate supported budget, for which we have no amendments.
council, no amendments? Okay.
So I have a motion by Councillors Caputo and Spina, resolved that the Committee of the Whole Council now rise and report on the matter referred to it by City Council 2026 budget deliberations.
Casey, do you need like
Couple
5 minutes? Okay. Recess for 5 minutes and we'll come back. Oh, wait, all in favor of rising and reporting? All right, and then we will recess for a few minutes. That gives you guys a little bit of a.
three.
One more.
Three and-
Three and one.
so, Caputo and Spina.
All right, council, we are back in order. And Madam Clerk has the final budget motion for us to consider and vote on.
Resolved that the 2026 operating budget be approved with the following amendments. Winter control reduction, $135,300. Public Works fleet adjustment, $275,000. Downtown ambassador program reduction, $95,913. Capital inflation reduction, $62,353. Tax stabilization revenue increase for police, a reduction of $66,667. Downtown operational budget, $50,000. Casino revenue increase, $400,000. Landfill reserve allocation reduction, $1,825,000. Library operational increase, $75,000. Street light budget reduction, $50,000. Repurpose 2 public works staff for the downtown, net impact of 0. Foot patrols continuation in the amount of $102,382 from the Special Council Community Fund Reserve. Hire a digital coordinator at Ermitinger Clerg Natural Historic Site, $0, and that the 2026 capital budget and financing sources be approved with the following amendments. Reduction in the resurfacing budget of $31,177. Increase in the Public Works heavy duty fleet of $80,546. Reduction in the Public Works medium light duty fleet of $276,500. Add court resurfacing for Snowden Park of $75,000 equally from the Parks and Recreation Reserve and 5% Subdividers Reserve Fund. And that the 2026 sanitary rate supported budget and financing sources be approved, resulting in an increase in the corporate portion of the municipal levy from 2025 in the amount of 0.0%, and that the 2026 levies on local boards resulting in an increase to the levy and local board portion of the municipal levy of 3.87%, resulting in an increase to the overall 2026 municipal levy, corporate and levy and local boards of $151,644,623, representing an increase of 3.87%, be approved.
I just wanted to confirm, Mr. Facey, that all these changes, if voted on, keep us at 0.00.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the municipal side, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Council, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, that carries unanimously.
I have a motion by Councilors Zagordo and Hollingsworth that this council now adjourn.
All in favor? That carries.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. No worries.
You never sat on a council.